This episode includes conversations about mental health and suicide that may be difficult or triggering for some listeners. Please listen with care. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. Contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 or visit 988lifeline.org for free confidential support. Hey everyone, you're listening to Clocked In, Checked Out. This is the podcast about career curveballs, mental spirals, and figuring out how to hold it together while absolutely fucking falling apart. Like my life, as I feel. I'm Joseph Singh, your host, your unfiltered bestie, and your emotional support water bottle in podcast form. Today's episode is called Emotionally Unstable, but Make It Cute. It's going to be about rejection, burnout, and pretty much my spiral era the last few months. Because in this episode, I'm going to be real. Trying to stay confident while I'm job hunting, losing my sense of identity, questioning my relationships, and forcing myself to get out of bed every fucking morning. That's literally a full-time job on its own. And there's literally no PTO and no 401k to match. This episode is literally just going to be me and my emotions. Before I get into the episode, one of my friends said something to me that really stuck. And she's mentioned this to me a few times. She told me that there are three most stressful things that you can go through in life. First one is divorce. Second one is moving. And the third one is career changes. And right now, I'm literally in one of them. This career shift, this layoff, this whole identity shakeup has honestly been one of the hardest emotional roller coasters I have ever been on. I can't imagine what other people are going through if they're dealing with all three. And I'm literally going to talk about it while sweating. This isn't a glow up story. This is literally the sticky, unfiltered middle part. I'm going to open up about my own rejection season. The job search, ghosting, the days where I'm crying while I'm scrolling. I rarely cry, but when I do, it's not really in front of anyone. And the moments where even my thirst traps couldn't hide the fact that I wasn't okay. I'm going to be sharing how I've been navigating the dark fog, why it's terrifying when people start noticing you're not yourself, and how I'm leaning on my friends, my family, and a few stuck but still hot affirmations. I need Noodle to write me my affirmations to get me through it. One scotch on the rocks at a time. And speaking of this week's cocktail, it's going to be as simple as I can fucking get because it's going to be just like my emotional bandwidth right now. We're keeping it real with scotch over ice. This was full, but before this episode, I probably drank some of it. There's going to be no fancy mixers, no complicated recipe, just something strong, straightforward, and honest. Because sometimes when life is this heavy, you don't need a cocktail that tries to dress it up. You need something that gets the job done. So whether you're spiraling with me or just here for validation, pour something strong and let's get into this slightly unhinged but very human episode. And if I'm being fully honest, this whole thing has fucked with my mental health more than I have ever expected. I feel like I've been sitting in a dark place for a while now. The kind of heaviness where you wake up, you look in the mirror, and barely recognize yourself. My face looks tired, my energy feels off, what a lot of people tell me, and there are days where I don't even feel like me anymore. There are literally days where I wish I don't even get up. So I'm gonna start crying. Because this is how heavy it is. And if you're listening to this, I hope you hear me with compassion. This is not easy for me to share. I know I may sound like I'm spiraling or being dramatic because that's what these two buffoons would probably say who are here watching me. But I need to be honest. And I'm rarely honest. No, I am honest with a lot of people, but I'm rarely open about how I feel.
to a lot of people and what's really going through my head. I don't want anyone to judge me for saying this out loud, but if you are, go on your merry way because I know the people who are not going to be judging me are going to be here to stay. That had a nice rhyme to it. Didn't even realize that. This is simply where I am right now. And if you have ever been here too, maybe this is going to help you feel a little less alone. Maybe this is where I finally welcome myself to the chaos versus someone who's sitting next to me. I've been told a lot that like I'm not very vulnerable. And there are reasons why I'm not vulnerable. It's because I've been hurt in the past. So I am choosing to be vulnerable today. I am I'm asking you to really listen. Not just as your podcast host, but as a human. Because I want you to get to know the real me, not the one that like Hana was able to interview a few episodes ago. But I want you to at least get the parts that I usually keep hidden. And trust me, this is harder for me than a third round interview with a hiring manager who still uses the word synergy. This is probably one of the most difficult things I have ever done in my life. We talk so much about healing arcs, glow ups, and comebacks. But what about the in between? What about what happens in the middle of all that stuff? The weird, sticky, slightly depressing middle part no one wants to post about. This is really where I am right now. I want people to finally see the version of me that I've spent years or even decades really hiding. I've always been the person who smiles, jokes, and deflects because that's safer than admitting when I'm struggling. Vulnerability isn't something that comes naturally to me. I really want people to finally see the version of me that I've spent like years hiding, or even decades. But truthfully, carrying that weight has been fucking exhausting. Like, really fucking exhausting. Pretending to be okay while like quietly spiraling doesn't serve me. And it doesn't help anyone else who's really going through it right now. A lot of people have always asked and said, "You're so good at keeping it together. You're able to do this. You're able to do that." Right? But lately, I've kind of just been like pulling back the curtain. I really can help someone else feel seen too. And listen, for a long time, I used to believe that being vulnerable meant being weak because I think culturally that's what I was taught. That if I let people see my struggle, they think less of me or even feel sorry for me or assume I couldn't handle my own life. But what I've really learned is that vulnerability isn't about weakness, it's about honesty. And it actually has built me up a little bit when I'm open to some of you guys. So uncomfortableness comes in. It's way harder for me to say that I'm not okay than to pretend I've got my life figured out. Because in my life right now, I don't really feel like I have it figured out. And maybe if anyone is feeling this too, you know that you're not alone. So there are a lot of people who have been asking me how I've been like feeling, what my emotional state has like really been like. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm fucking tired. I'm fucking exhausted. I feel like everything's been fucking rejecting me lately. Across the board, professionally, personally, and emotionally. I'm tired. I'm exhausted to the point where I cannot even wake up anymore. And girl, it's giving full blown rejection era. Not the sexy one with like a plot twist. I'm talking spiral in shorts, not getting out of bed, eating cold leftovers over the sink while watching like fucking drag race kind of rejection. That's how tired I am. The truth is, I'm really feeling down. Like, really down. Like, just not like a bad day, kind of down, but like fucking shitty down. I'm showing up, sure. I'm functioning, but it feels like I'm moving through emotional quicksand most of the days. And like weirdly enough, I even hit a place where I can't even fully cry. It's so difficult for me to cry. I think because I've hit such a wall of emotions, I just can't do it. I feel numb. I've hit some wall in my brain and my body just won't let me do it in front of a lot of people. And honestly, that makes it even heavier for me because sometimes I feel like I can't even fully let myself go. Heavy and I don't even know how to get out of it. And what I've realized that a lot of people are starting to notice. Everyone's noticing. People have been texting me when I'm not in class at the gym. They're literally like, "Why aren't you here?" Because they're so used to seeing me there at like 9 fucking a.m. Some people have messaged me on Instagram and been like, "You don't look like yourself." And honestly, they're not wrong. The filters are like no longer filtering. When people start noticing something is off through Instagram stories, that's when you know. My energy's been low. I have someone who DM me who said like I look like dead in the eyes the other day. When I was at my family's house this weekend, one of my cousins goes, "You're not yourself. Like what's going on?" That's when I realized I have some things I need to like unpack and like I need to share what's going on. The truth is I'm not okay. And there have been a lot of things that have been triggering me. Like everything's been triggering to me. I wake up in the morning. That's been triggering me. My alarm clock's been triggering me. The fridge staying open is triggering me. The water faucet dripping is triggering me. There have been days that I literally just want to lay in bed. And that happened the other day, where I didn't even get up until 11 and didn't even go to the gym, which is like super rare for me. I'm usually there 2, 3 hours a day. I received a few text messages like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I just got up." I was literally in bed, just like scrolling through social media, going through everyone's wins, while my brain whispers, like, "You're behind. You're not doing enough. You're not good enough." And that's all been because of like the job search that I've been kind of doing. You're probably wondering how the job search has kind of been like treating me. It's been overwhelming. It's been exhausting. It's been tiring. I've literally applied to so many fucking jobs, from tech to beauty to healthcare to pharmaceuticals. I want to say at least 200 jobs. I've gotten some great interviews, and my resume is starting to feel like an OnlyFans profile. Curated, desperate, and oddly professional. And what do I get? Ghosted, ignored, left on red. And I continue to just take those as like a form of rejection. And that rejection is impacting me emotionally. Like the other day, I read an article on Forbes. They mentioned that like 72% of the people who are job seeking or job hunting after a layoff has hurt their mental health. And like, I fucking believe that. I never in my life thought I would become a fucking statistic. That was never my goal, but here I am. And what I realize is that rejection doesn't just sting, it fucking slow burns. Like hot sauce in places I don't think that it should be. And it feels kind of shitty. Every rejection email that I've received literally chips away at something. Every day I'm rewriting my resume and I'm refreshing LinkedIn. I'm literally on there refreshing nonstop, refreshing my emails nonstop. And I just feel like I get ghosted after the first date, pretty much, or screening call. And to be honest, it's making me depressed, like actually depressed. There's Apple here. Not just having a bad day, but heavier. This is a mix of like sadness, frustration, and anger that builds every time I open an inbox and see another rejection or worse, nothing at all, or I see a spam email. And the longer it goes, the more it chips away at my confidence. Am I really not that good enough, even though they say I'm qualified? What am I doing wrong? It starts to feel really personal when I know it isn't. But what I really hate is how desperate it makes me feel sometimes. I really don't want to be that person everyone associates with like job searching. Like, oh, look, there's Joseph again, probably asking about a job or networking or another intro. I fucking hate that feeling. Like, I'm a fucking Aquarius. Like, I can do things on my own. I also don't like feeling like a burden to anyone. But it's this weird shame loop. But then I'm like, I need help. But I don't want to like feel like I'm always asking. And that shame adds its own weight to everything that I'm already carrying. I also don't want to impact anyone that I'm hanging out with. I don't want to make them feel like, oh, I don't want to hang out with Joseph because like Joseph's being emo. I don't really think I've ever been an emo person. I usually just stay quiet when people talk and I just like silence myself and I pretend everything's fine. And this is where like I want to talk about like the worst part of pretending is that you're fine. I really built this entire facade, this perfectly curated version of myself where everyone always says, Joseph, you're so happy. You have it all together. Like, how do you balance this with that? Like, you have a good job. You have a great husband. You hang out with all your friends. And after a while, you start believing that's what you have to do. So when I lost my job, when everything starts to fall apart, I had to feel like I had to keep my image going. Like I couldn't afford to fucking crack in front of people. And that was probably the one of the most toughest things I've ever done. Because it was how I was raised. I've always been taught to be strong, how to handle it, to keep pushing, to keep smiling. Vulnerability wasn't something I that was like modeled for me. Strength was. So cracking feels like failure. That's why I don't like to crack in front of people. When someone asks me how I am, I immediately shut down like I'm great. When someone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But the truth is we pretend because it feels safe. Because we don't want people to see the mess. And it's very messy for me. We don't want people to feel sorry for us. We don't want to be that draining friend or that person who always has bad news. We always tell ourselves everyone's fucking busy, everyone's dealing with something. And so I like put on a smile, post Instagram pictures, and I really act like everything's fine. And that's why I fucking force myself to go to the gym. I talk to people, I maintain my day to day. But behind everything, it's heavy. It's exhausting to keep putting on that mask. And it's starting to crack, even though I don't want it to crack. I don't want to show people, but I am cracking. And today, when I was like in this dynamic stretch situation, someone said something to me, the person who was like stretching me out said they just felt like something was off with me. And I started explaining stuff to them, and I was like, I don't want to crack. And what they said to me, it's okay to crack. How else would a chick be born if the shell didn't crack? That really fucking hit me because, yeah, it felt scary to like finally open up, but maybe it's just the part of breaking open of what's next. Sometimes I feel like I have to let myself fall apart to let something in. And I'm trying to remind myself of that right now. And that's not something that I typically do. And me cracking has really been affecting my personal life quite a bit. Because like being rejected, it's not only personal, it's not only, excuse me, it's not only professional, it's also personal too. Like I'm in group chats, but I feel like it feels like an empty room that I keep walking into, hoping someone's there, or when someone doesn't text me back. And when I'm drowning a little bit, it kind of feels like I'm suffocating. I get it. People are busy, but when you're low, silence feels like a slap with no like safe word. That's probably the only sexual joke I'm gonna make here. Being laid off wasn't just a form of rejection for me. Yes, it probably wasn't personal, but that's literally how I fucking took it. And it's starting to bleed into every aspect of my life. Everything I fucking do. I apply to jobs, receive a generic sorry email, I take that as a form of reject. Someone saying something to me that's supposed to be funny, I take that as a form of rejection. Me being told at the gym to lift heavier, I'm taking that as a form of I can't do enough. Everywhere I go, all my friends, all my bosses have always mentioned you're so hard on yourself. Why? I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not good enough. This could be coming from childhood trauma where I've always felt like I wasn't good enough, where I was like the slightly fluffier kid, who, oh, my confidence is like completely shot. And I've spent like years building that confidence. Like ever since I was like in my childhood. Like I even said earlier, like the way people would make fun of me, the way that I look and stuff. Yeah, I wasn't the most attractive kid when I was younger. Do I think I'm good looking now? Yeah, I think so. Like, it's something that I still struggle with. But all those little things have like really like fucked with my confidence quite a bit, you know? And yeah, the way I've been feeling with the whole layoff, it fucked up my confidence. It really did. And being rejected nonstop from email after email after email, saying, sorry, we moved on with other candidates or something, that fucks with your confidence. And I feel like I should be like, yeah, I'm fucking great, right? But like it's your loss, not mine. It's easier for someone to think that way, but like I know what I can bring to the table. When I got laid off, everyone literally was like, you'll find something. I'd be like, anyone who can take you, anyone who will take you will like, what's that saying? Like, fuck, what's that saying? Anyone would be lucky to have you, right? Those things like keep you going, but at the same time, those things tear me down because I'm not. No one's hiring me. I'm interviewing nonstop. There are hiring managers that like me, right? But then there are also like when I meet with their team, it goes like left field. And it's like, why? I know I'm a good interviewer. I know what I'm worth. On paper, I'm good. In person, I'm good. You know me. I work really fucking hard. I work really hard, right? Like, but I don't know why this is happening. I mean, 2025 has been a really fucking shitty year for me. It has been very fucking shitty. I don't know why. Like, I'm not getting a job, and it's fucking with my confidence. It's fucking with me mentally. It's fucking with me emotionally. It's literally just like fucking with me left, right, front, center. And I don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how to get the fuck out of it. So I've started isolating myself because for me, it's like not about the drama, even though I can come across as being a little dramatic. You know, it's not about the drama for me. It's about distance. It's about like emotional distance. It's literally the kind when I feel when I scroll through contracts, but then like I don't want to text anyone. because I'm scared of what they're gonna think. Like Joseph's texting me, right? Like vulnerability feels like asking someone to spot you naked under like a harsh light. And I don't want people to see me naked front and center of everything. So yeah, I have started isolating myself. I think the part why I've started isolating myself is because I don't want to feel like a burden on a lot of people. I don't want to be that person who's always fucking venting, who's always fucking like struggling, who's always being like, "Oh, there goes Joseph again." I have my own way of like reaching out, and so does everyone else. I sometimes tend to pull back, and it's not really intentional, but I just get into my head so much that I start spiraling and I start to like retreat rather than explaining what I'm actually fucking feeling. Like, to be honest, I don't think people are making me feel that way. I think it's me feeling that way. Like, I don't think like I mean, well, that's a tough one, you know? When like people don't text back or when people don't like text back like immediately or like want to hang out or something, I start to think it's me, right? So I don't it's a bit of like 50-50, right? But then I start getting into my own head because I'm like I want to text this person but then like or call this person. I'm not really like a phone calling person. I'm more like a texter or like FaceTimer. I just feel like no one wants to do any of that because of everything I'm going through.
But is it you putting that on others, or is it them actually acting differently towards you?
Which part?
How are your friendships?
I think it depends. I do feel like, like some of like my friendships have like shifted, not ended, just like drifted a little bit. And I know it's not them because it's like been me. Because when I'm like already starting to spiral, even the smallest change in someone's tone or absence in like a group hangout can feel like a confirmation you're like way too much. Many of my friends have like been keeping me afloat. They try to take me out of the house. They come over, spend time with me because they know I'm in like this deep hole that I've fallen in and I can't even get out of. I have a friend who's constantly coming over. Yesterday, I had a friend who like took me out to like the fucking like Locust Street Fair. Was like, let's go out. I have a friend who's like messaging me like, snap out of it, get out of it, like like it's all that stuff, right? But there are moments where I do hesitate to reach out to a lot of people. And I think that's the worst part where I just stop reaching out. I start convincing myself that like people have their own lives, they're doing their own things, they're hanging out with the old people, like they're hanging out with their own people. They don't want me. And I think I hesitate to reach out because there's this fear of me being too much. And it's all affected like my sense of identity. I've always it's not only me, and I feel like this is a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people have paired their identity with their career. Who am I like if like who I am has always been tied to like what I do. The title, the achievements, the next promotion, the awards that I've won, the email where they're like, "Yeah, go Joseph." It all became like how I measured my worth. So when I lost my job, it didn't only like mess with my fucking income, it messed with who I am. I felt like suddenly I like wasn't the person who had it all figured out. I wasn't the successful one anymore. I wasn't the one who had a job. That wasn't who was getting awards, right? And that shakes you in a way that I didn't expect that it did. I started questioning everything, my value, my purpose, my direction. And I've shared this with a couple of friends before, right? It's like everything that I've built on this foundation of success and stability just got pulled out from me. And I'm left with this like weird situation and this weird space of like, if I'm not this job, who am I? And I really don't have a fucking answer for that because that's what I'm trying to figure out. And also at the same time, I'm trying to remind myself my identity should not be tied to my career. That my worth isn't just about like my LinkedIn fucking title or my next job offer. Like that's what I'm trying to like really figure out. I'm trying to believe that because I've spent my entire life chasing titles, my accomplishments, because that's how I was brought up. I have to separate my self worth from my success, but that isn't the easiest. And I'm still trying to figure out how it is. But I'm also realizing something I've never really allowed myself to do before. I do not want to be defined as my job anymore. This was a big, real, like, self reflection moment for me. I want to be defined as like my humor, my authentic self, something that makes me feel alive, my kindness, my creativity, my resilience, my designs, my empathy, my generosity. I want people to see how I treat others and what I stand for, not me being a director for something. Me being a director, yeah, that is something I strive for because being a director is a big fucking deal. I've worked so hard to become a director, right? But I think that's also the thing that's been fucking with me the most. Have I been applying for jobs that are directors? Yeah. I've also been applying for jobs that are senior managers, right? Because I'm trying to get my foot back in the door. Like, I am willing to take a step down or two just to make sure I have something that I can look forward to every day, you know? And like, you know, I love what I do. I enjoy every bit of it. Someone asked me to, do you love what you do? I was like, I fucking love it. I would do it over and over again. I enjoy every aspect of my career, but it's not going to define who I am moving forward. I think what lights me up, it's not just what pays my bills, and this is how I want people to like define me as, my hobbies, the friendships I've built, the workouts that I do, the creative projects, the random fucking things that make me feel human. Because I have not felt human in such a long time. I want to be known for how far I've come, the successes that I've had in the fashion industry, the beauty industry. I mean, dressing Mel B, Spice Girl, it's like for 2 years, it's a big accomplishment. But I see that as such a small thing in my life. I don't know why, right? Like it's a big deal to dress as Spice Girl. If anyone here knows who a fucking Spice Girl is, right? Like it's a big deal. And that was a full 360 for me in my fashion career. I should be proud of what I did. I should celebrate it. And Teresa also said to me today, she goes, "You don't celebrate yourself enough." I'm like, I don't. I really don't. The strength I've built, the fucking shit I've overcome. Not just where I work. Because guess what? The last place I worked, it's going to be gone. Like, it's literally a place on my resume. That's what I mean by gone. Like, I'm not there anymore. And ultimately, I want to be remembered for the impact I've had on people's lives, for the way that I've shown up for people, how I made people feel during the good times. I want people to know, like, the real me, not just the job title I happen to have for, like, I know, like, you're probably wondering, what do I feel like I've, like, pretty much lost? I was reading an article by, like, Psychology Today, and they kind of said it best. Like, when you lose your job, you're not only losing like your work, you lose your structure, you lose your purpose, you lose your connection. And I really didn't realize how much of my self worth was really tied to like my career or like my LinkedIn headline when I didn't really have one. I feel like I've lost everything when in reality I just lost my job. But I can't really seem to like just like focus on that. It's been a bit of like a domino effect, right? Like one thing that's like leading to like another. I've lost like my motivation of like going to the gym, lost my motivation of doing other things. I've lost my happiness, losing relationships because like of how deep I'm like really like feeling. And like people are really starting to see through my mask heavy, and like I feel like a big weight has been put on my shoulders, right? There's like a ton of bricks on there and I don't know how to break through that. I try to smile, I try to be happy, I try to make it look like nothing is wrong, but it's like so difficult for me. I laugh, but there's no like happiness behind it. I just can't figure out to like be myself. So like there are a lot of things I'm questioning about myself. This isn't just about like career loss. It's literally like an identity loss. Who am I when I'm not like achieving? When I'm not producing? When I'm not succeeding? It's like someone pulled the plug on my life aesthetic and now I'm just consistently buffering and trying to like restart myself. And that's hard for me to do. And that's very difficult for me to do. But there are a lot of people who are kind of getting me through this. They're my friends, my family, my spouse. They're all the ones that are like really saving me right now. A lot of people are checking in. Where are you? What's going on? What's going through their head? What's going through your head? They're texting, they're calling, they're sitting with me and letting me like talk about my feelings. It's very unglamorous, like a version of like Love Island, but like everyone's like emotionally available. So I'm always really trying to keep myself moving. My alarm goes off at like 5 a.m. I try to get up, force myself to go to the gym, not because I feel motivated, but because I know the endorphins are cheaper than like fucking therapy. I'm already paying for the gym. I'm not trying to pay for therapy. I have friends who are checking up on me consistently when I'm not at the gym. And apparently it causes a fucking frenzy when I don't show up to class or I'm not there. Some days I just walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes and that's a big accomplishment for me. Some days I'll just check in at the gym and I'm like, I'm here. But that's not to say that my mind is calm because it's still spinning and it's going in circles nonstop. A lot of people just don't see it, or I think people won't. People in my network have been so kind to me the last like few months, and that's one thing I'm so grateful for, right? Like they've given me referrals, job leads, given me pep talks, and that's something I'm like really grateful for. But it doesn't stop like the fog that's in my head. It doesn't pull me out of the dark place because I'm in this like deep dark hole that I cannot seem to get myself out of. I still wake up and I have to like fight to get myself out of bed because I know and I understand that there are people who still care about me. There's something I read by like Lindsay Wheatston that said something that stuck with me. You don't need to fix yourself. You just need to maintain yourself. You need to maintain what you have, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. It's like doing the small things that make me really feel like capable. Some days for me, that's me making the bed while playing Spice Girls. To be honest, any Gen Zs that are listening, they probably don't even know what the fucking Spice Girls are, but I do. So that's all that matters. That's kind of what I'm kind of like dealing with, you know? There are things that keep me a little bit grounded, right? Like, I have jokes, right? I'll say it. But I'll also say in my head sometimes, you're a failure. But then I'll like look at myself in the mirror and kind of just be like, you're like a handsome little failure, right? Like you've still got it, but like it's not fully there, but it's there, right? Like your hair's thinning, but you're still kind of cute, right? Like that's where my stuck but still hot affirmations kind of like fucking come in. And like I'm not emotionally okay right now, because this isn't a glow up story yet. This is me surviving day to day. And like I'm consistently thinking about like what's next. And the truth is I don't really know what's next. I wish I had like some like big plan or like a neat like little list of goals to share to sit with that uncertainty. But I know that like as I continue this podcast, I'll have a lot of people with me who are consistently motivating me and I'm talking about it, talking about our issues, talking about motivation, talking about what keeps people going. And I know we're all going to be sitting in this like mess together, but I think this is my creative outlet a little bit. This is something that's keeping me going right now. I don't have like a bow to like wrap this up with, right? Like because because I'm at a standstill. I'm still trying to figure this out. I hope that anyone who's like listening to this, you take away one thing. Whatever you're feeling right now, it's okay. The fear, the anger, the sadness, the numbness, it's all valid. And I'm literally trying to like believe that as I continue to go. I don't know where this podcast is going to go. I don't know where my life is going to go. And I'm hoping that I can get out of this deep dark hole because the last time I've been in this position was probably 3.5 years ago, where I felt shitty, where I was in a dark spot because someone said something to me and I'm not going to share what they said, where they made me feel like shit. They made me feel like crap. They made me feel like I wasn't worth it. And there are days where I don't feel like I'm worth it. But then I have people like you and people like my friends and family who like keep me going. I'm trying not to cry on camera. you know what I've realized, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to let it out. It's okay to crack. It's okay to break. I don't always have to be this tough human being that like I try to make myself to be. But I do know that there is or hope that there is like a light at the end of the tunnel for me. I really don't know why I feel the way I do. I think because I've never been placed in this position before. I'm usually so good at fucking handling life, figuring things out. Joey will always figure it out, right? I sometimes just wish I was a 12-year-old kid again, listening to Spice Girls, playing with my Spice Girl dolls, having people make fun of me. Because I feel like that was like the easier way out for me. But as you grow older, you kind of have to figure shit out on yourself. And I think that's like the hardest part for me. Figuring it out, knowing what's next, right? Yeah, it's only been 3.5 months. Some people are like, it's just been 3.5 months. Like, you're good. But I don't think people understand the toll that it takes on someone when it's been this long. For me, it seems like it's been a fucking decade. I've never in my life been without a job longer than like 2 days. You know, that's the thing. So, like, I do hope that people listen to this and they understand that they're not alone, that it's okay to be where you're at. And if everything I said to them has made them feel seen, if they've ever felt like, if you've ever felt like you've kind of like spiraled, you know, and if you just whispered same under your breath at any point, like, just know you're not alone. If you need help, ask for help. And I think that's what I've been doing a lot lately, and send this to anyone who you feel like who needs support, who needs help. You never know who. I don't want this to seem like a sad episode, but I do want people to understand how I'm feeling and what I'm going through. If this, like, like, if everything I said to you guys resonated, DM me. I want to hear your story because the next arc that we're going to talk about is going to be about mental health because it's a serious topic. If you feel like anyone who's going through the same thing that I'm going through, DM me, on Clocked In Checked Out Pod. If you have a story or if you want someone to share something or someone who needs emotional support that's stronger than a morning fucking coffee because we know that shit fades out real quick. Hit play. And if you have something to chat about or just need a year to listen to, email me at clockedincheckedoutpod@gmail.com or just put into my DMs, clockedincheckedoutpod. I'm Joseph Singh, still spiraling, still surviving, still kind of cute. And I hope everyone out there can relate to me. Until next time, guys. See you guys next week. Bye. Cheers.